as you get older, you really have to start becoming a little bit more careful with what is it that you do at the gym. Because at this point, I can fucking hurt myself by sleeping in a weird angle. For an example, today I was taking a nap and I was napping in a odd angle. I was basically kind of sleeping on my side a little bit, and I woke up with shoulder pain. Like legitimately, it was uncomfortable for like the next hour, and I had to use a massage gun to kind of mitigate it and get rid of it. So it becomes very sketchy, and it's also like the problem becomes the fact that you're also able to lift more weight as a man, because especially as a man, as you get older, you are going to become stronger. You're going to develop something that is basically called dad strength, which in my opinion isn't even necessarily about you being a dad or not. It's just men, as they get older, they become physically stronger. However, they also become a little bit less plastic and a little bit less flexible. So it's kind of give or take. And you are most probably going to be able to lift more weight than you were able to lift when you was younger if you're going to be in your 30s and you're going to be in good conditioning and you have spent most of your life lifting weights. However, that is also going to come with the caveat of you being able to hurt yourself easily. Because for an example, like a few months ago, I was doing this kind of like back exercise. It was basically this kind of like machine where you pull weight backwards and kind of like work your upper back muscles. And I wasn't doing anything crazy. Maybe my posture wasn't the best, and maybe I did kind of move a little bit in an odd angle, but like 5 or 6 years ago, that wouldn't matter at all. But now I did a little bit more weight than I normally do, and I most probably pulled the weight in a little bit of an odd direction, and I felt something click in my shoulder. And from there on, for the next 2 months, I was struggling with shoulder pain. And now at this point, I've fixed it. It's okay, I don't really feel it no more, but I actually only recently got rid of the pain. And it even went to the point where I had to rest for 5 or 6 days completely without any physical exercise, which was awful, just because I didn't want the shoulder to get worse, because it's also not really something you want to hurt further, because the problem with that also becomes you want to train and you want to keep on going, but if the pain is still there and if you're going to work through the pain, it is ultimately going to potentially become a problem. Because once again, when I was younger, I was able to work through the pain and the pain eventually disappeared. However, as you get older, I feel like the pain is not really going to disappear. Chances are you're just going to make it worse, and it is going to become a problem if you're going to keep on ignoring it and pushing through. So yeah, it does become sketchy in a sense where you really have to be careful with what is it that you do, and you really need to pay attention to your form, and you really need to pay attention to your weight. And by your weight, I don't mean your physical weight, but I mean like the weight that you're moving. Because yeah, that is going to become a little bit problematic, because you're also going to be able to lift more, and your ego is going to come into play a little bit, and you will feel like you should be able to do more, and you're going to push yourself a little bit harder. And then ultimately you can quite easily end up in a situation where you hurt yourself and you're not going to be able to train for a while. So the thing that I would do is I would increase the weights. I would actively work towards lifting more and more weight. But as I gradually start increasing the weight, also on top of it, I started becoming very, very strict with the form that I do this weight in, and also just becoming very careful with how is it that my body feels. And as soon as I would feel some kind of weird click or something that doesn't feel right, I would immediately stop. And it might even go to the extent where I would just like leave the gym for the session. I wouldn't continue the session. I would just stop the session fully. I would go back home, eat, rest, maybe use some kind of gels to mitigate the pain if I have any, and just like really make sure that I don't fuck something up, because that can ultimately cost you not really going to the gym for a while, which is not something that you want to experience, because that is going to slow down progress more than anything else. So yeah, it does become tricky, and you do have to start paying attention to a few things as you get older, because yeah, there is going to be the upside of you becoming stronger, but then in my opinion, 3 things that you really need to pay attention to is you need to increase the weight gradually. Don't do dumb shit and just start throwing around huge weights and ego lift. Then on top of it, you have to be really careful with the form that you lift the weights in. And then the third one is you have to listen to your body as much as possible, because also like if you're closer to 30, you're no longer a kid. You have had experience in life, right? I mean, you have survived up until the age of 30. That does take some kind of mental intelligence. and that does take some kind of survival instincts, so you should kind of already understand your body to an extent. Even if you're not like the brightest person around, I feel like at some point around the age of 30 you start kind of figuring out how is it that your body works, and what is it that you want to give your body, and what is it that maybe you want to avoid. So if you feel that something is off, if you feel that something is not going the way that it should, if you feel some sort of pain, or if you feel like you pulled something, stop. Don't push through the pain. Pushing through the pain is a very bad idea. Go home, rest, and the next day see what the situation is, see if you have actually hurt yourself or was it nothing serious, but don't just like blindly keep on working out because you're already at the gym and you don't feel like ending the workout. And I mean, once again, don't take it to the other extreme as well. Don't stop as soon as something, the smallest thing feels off, but when you feel something real and when you feel that something is 100% not okay, don't continue, don't keep on pushing forward. That is only going to bring problems. So yeah, anyways, that is the video for today. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.